calm down, folks. Just calm down. Well, after a stinker game 3 for the Edmonton Oilers, we get ourselves a third overtime game of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, with the Oilers coming out on top 5-4. So the series is all tied at 2. We'll get into the heart of everything. I'm Barry Besse, and that's my son Carson. We are the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. You can get us on our YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is available on the Refocus Radio Network, along with Sweep the League with Rudy Campos Jr. and I Am Refocus Radio with Shemaya Reed, along with some other great, not sports-related podcasts and programming. So you want to check it out, the Refocus Radio Network. We're also on Spreaker, as we have been every night of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and except for, I think, the first night of the playoffs. And, of course, I'll be doing a TikTok here in a little bit to wrap up the Oilers game against Florida. So, scenario, probably the worst game played by an Edmonton Oilers team in the history of the team in Game 3. Really, when you looked at Game 3, 6-1, the way that the game went, I really felt that, Florida had it. As much as I didn't want to admit it, Florida had it. Then they get into tonight's game, Carr, and there they go. Three goals in the first period, 2 power play goals by Matthew Tkachuk, and Lindell gets his 6. So it's already 3-0 after 1, and the Oilers find themselves, back up against the wall again, like they've been there before. Then we get into the second period, power play goal by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And then that was at about 3.5 minutes in. At the 12:47 mark, it was Darnell Nurse getting his third on a beautiful little shot that just went above Bob's shoulder. It was for a defenseman, that was pinpoint accuracy. Vasily Podkolzin, who we've been talking about a lot as kind of waiting for him to break out, he got his second, and that tied the game at 15:05. So just a minute or so later after Darnell Nurse's goal. Then in the third, the Oilers took their first lead of the game with 13:36 gone. Jake Wallman, just a rocket from the point, made it 4-3. But late, really late, 19:40, 20 seconds left. Guess who? Sam Reinhart. He gets his 6th of the playoffs to tie the game and send it to overtime. And I know, Carson, you'll probably get into this as well. Overtime. First period was all Florida. Second, third period was all Edmonton, except for that last goal. Overtime pretty much was dominated by Florida. But as it happens, a lot of times in overtime, the team that is dominating overtime gets scored on. And it was a typical garbage overtime goal, but it counts. Draisaitl off of one of the defensemen of the Panthers to get his 4th overtime winner of the playoffs so far, which sets an NHL record. And the Oilers walk away now with a series tied. 5-4 was the score. And we head to Game 5 in Edmonton on Saturday. Okay, Carson, I know you had some thoughts about the game yourself, so I'm going to let you go and take it from here.
So what an awful start, first of all, for the Oilers. I mean, as bad as you can get. Again, discipline. I mean, they took 3 careless penalties to start that game off. And they got burned on 2 of them. Tkachuk, 2 power play goals, and then Lundell's late goal. And then the Oilers kind of reversed it. Panthers took 3 penalties. Oilers got power plays. They converted, and they tie the game back up. So this game, I think, is Stu's last Edmonton game. That's it. I mean, he had all of his opportunities. And he you know what, I get it. Like, they had a 5-on-3 that they scored on, but he hasn't been that number one guy, and there's no way that you can say that he's going to be number one for the Oilers in the future. No, nope, he's done. He's not playing anymore this series, barring that the Panthers do what they did to Stu last game to Pickard in Game 5. He's not playing, so I think this is his last game. Um, Big kudos to the Oilers to get this one done. I mean, backs against the wall. Obviously, you go down 3-1. Honestly, I think if they go down 3-1, it's done. They're not going to win.
Mhm.
I think Florida learned enough from last year to not have that happen again.
Mhm.
Um, that it was really important. Obviously, some breaks went their way. The overtime post hit by Bennett that they almost converted on. Um, and then the Oilers get, what we said, kind of a garbage goal. Really, nobody's fault on that one for Florida. Mikkola tries to get in the way of it. Bob's not ready for that. I mean, it's how it goes. Okay, this is my controversial opinion. You're probably not going to like it, but I think it's true. I think this year's Oilers team is not as good as last year's.
Hmm.
I watch this team. I don't think they're as good. I think depth has disappeared, other than Bud Colson finally got on the board. The team is simply being carried by McDavid and Draisaitl wanting to win the cup. I think. I don't think as lines 1 through 4, pairs 1 through 3, this team is as good as last year. I think they're not. I think they're worse. If I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I know they
Mhm.
got through Vegas, Dallas pretty quickly. But watching them play the similar Florida Panthers team, I just think 5-on-5 they are outmatched. I think the bottom six of Florida definitely outplays Edmonton's bottom six. Um, again, good for Edmonton to get this win, but again, this is kind of I think where we vary. I think Florida controlled 40 plus minutes of this game, and Edmonton controlled the second period, and that was about it. And I mean, they got it done. Good for them, they got it done. But um, yeah, I think that the top pairings or top lines are contributing, and the bottom six isn't really doing anything. I called you during the intermission for overtime. I think that Kane needs to get the boot.
Mhm.
I think he's taken so many penalties and he hasn't really contributed much to anything in the final. I think you send a message to him like, look, dude, like I mean, that could have been very costly to the Oilers at the beginning of that game. Obviously, discipline, but he's just been undisciplined the whole time. And I mean, it's not like he's done that and he goes right out and he scores a goal or sets up. He really
Mhm.
hasn't done much of that at all. Not to rag on Edmonton, I think it's great that they're here and that they've won these games, but I think that this team, just watching it compared to last year, they just seem to be a little bit behind where they were last year,
Mhm.
just as far as depth. I
Mhm.
think last year they had a lot of depth from like Holloway, Ryan McLeod, that stepped in to do the work like that, and even Yanmark was, and now it's completely disappeared. Like it's a problem I think that could haunt them for the next 3 games, because I think I look at Florida and I just feel like those guys have contributed more to their offensive output versus Edmonton's. And the prime example might not be a great one, but Brad Marchand, he's a third liner on that team, and he's scored 3 goals.
Mhm.
I mean, really, other than Podkolzin's goal, no one else really from the bottom six has contributed for Edmonton, and that's I think a concern. But Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are on the Edmonton Oilers,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So
I
you have
mean
that.
that's obviously a good thing. And Draisaitl's got the hot stick, 4 goals in the playoffs or an overtime already for him. I just think personally, just watching that, I think that's something that could haunt the Oilers is that depth not being around. Um, Now, another thing to think about, what do you do for game 5? Because they took out Klingberg, which I think was a mistake, and I
Yeah.
think that
Mistake.
he's going to get put back in because Stetcher only played a few
Mhm.
minutes and they realized that was a disaster. No offense to him
Yeah. I
whatsoever, but
know. I don't know why they
Klingberg's
took
a
out
better
Klingberg.
defenseman. And then RV getting pulled out for Jeff Skinner. I think Skinner looked pretty okay, but I think that you take Kane out and put RV back. I
Mhm.
think Kane's
Yeah.
just been too much of a liability at this point to just get so frustrated and animated and take stupid penalties. And this is a Florida team you don't want to do that against. Now, if you're Florida, um, don't give the Oilers that many chances because they had this game and they just let Edmonton walk all
Mhm.
over them in the second period. Um, and I just think it's just going to be really close. I just 5-on-5 up to this point. Florida's looked better. Power play has been pretty even, but we'll see what happens in Game 5. You never know. That's just my thoughts. At least you
Mhm.
might disagree. That's just what I
Mhm.
feel from watching the games, at least so far.
Well, no, I think there's a big difference between the bottom six from the Vegas series to the Dallas series to this one, they're kind of been non-existent in the Stanley Cup final. And when you needed them most, you need those bottom six. I think putting Stitcher in for Klingberg was a mistake. I think
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Like, I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
Klingberg wasn't that bad. I
No,
really don't. I think he wasn't. You have to understand too. He hadn't played a hockey game in so long until
yeah,
the Oilers signed him, and he's been a really good piece. I think you're just doing something out of a not panic move, but just to shake it up a little
no,
bit. Um, and obviously we know Pick's in the net now for the
yeah.
rest of this. He looked really good.
That's
Um,
that's what I
you know,
said when I think I texted you
yeah,
between the first and second. It's like,
he
oh, it's
looks.
time to put Pick in, and
Yeah,
it's Pick's series now. It's
yeah.
his series.
Well, and I think one more thing for Edmonton, you gotta stop it. And I told you this during the intermission from third overtime. Stop with the hooting and hollering at the Florida
Yeah,
bench. That's enough because Wallman did it right after he scored, and then sure enough, the Panthers tie the game. I
yeah.
think enough with that. You're losing momentum by doing that because this is a Florida Panthers team that knows how to win. They're going to take advantage of that all day. But I don't want to sound like ragging on the Oilers because they won this game. I just watching that. Those are my concerns. Um, and we'll see what game five happens or what happens in game five. But you're very close to a different result of 3-1
Mhm.
Florida
Yeah.
versus 2-2 ties. So
And
that's
I think putting Calvin Pickard in was like you said, it wasn't like the Stu gave up bad goals. See that one goal, the third goal, it probably was. But the power play ones and it's
well.
5-on-3, and
And
you can't.
yeah, Pick kept them in it. I mean, they had that awful giveaway from Wallman in the
Mhm,
second period that Lundell almost scored on, and Pick stopped him. Plenty of great saves both ways. Even Bob made some great,
mhm. Oh
great,
yeah,
great. He made that one toe save on Perry
mhm.
on the net front. Is like holy,
Yeah.
but
When Perry spun
this is a
around.
series that's featured a lot of goals.
Mhm,
But I look at Bob, and I mean, okay, obviously he's probably not happy with how he's played, but I feel like he's been pretty good. He's kept the Panthers in it when they've been under attack,
mhm.
and vice versa. For the most part, the Oilers have been kept in as well when they're under attack. But I think too, this series has been different, and tons of penalties just all around being called. Um, I think the next two games or three games, I should say, because it's the best two out of three. Whatever the best 5-on-5 team of the two is going to win.
Yeah.
If Florida continues to play they wire 5-on-5, I think they win because they've been better than Edmonton 5-on-5, and vice versa. If the bottom six from Edmonton can step in there and start contributing a little bit to the offense, that makes a difference. But I feel like I haven't seen much of anything as far as that goes right now up to this point.
So here's the Calvin Pickard experience. In the first period, Stu 17 shots, so 3 goals on 17 shots. Over second, third, and overtime, it was 23 shots for Florida, and only one got by Calvin Pickard.
That's just that veteran calm
Mhm.
like that he
The
has.
team plays better in front of Calvin Pickard, especially in situations like when they pull Skinner and put Pickard in. They
Yeah.
just turned
Like
it around.
I don't know. You can't give Stu another chance. I mean, this is how many times in the
I
playoffs that
This
he's
is
been
enough.
yanked. That's
This is
yeah.
enough. This is Pickard's series. He may be the series hero. Um, he, but I think I think Stuart Skinner has played his last game in net for the Edmonton Oilers. Period.
hmm
I don't think
They
that they
gotta
can
they
go this
gotta this
series anymore.
offseason go after that number one. They
Yeah.
have to. I mean, this is their best chance because uh, you know they they need that. Obviously, I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like if they have that, this is a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
But they just don't, and that's not. Again, these are two great goaltenders in the National Hockey League. They're National Hockey League goalies, but
Yeah.
they're not that Bobrovsky, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky. They don't have that right now. And, there's a lot more on the line, I think, than maybe that's visible to the eye. What's going to happen with McDavid if the Oilers lose again? Like, what is he going to do? Because, at this point, the salary cap's going to go up. Draisaitl obviously is on his big deal. The big thing that's going to influence this with McDavid is Mitch Marner this offseason
Mhm.
because he's going to get paid big time. And McDavid is better player than Mitch Marner. And if Mitch Marner goes somewhere and he's a 15, $16 million player, McDavid's going to want a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a bit of a concern. But I think that is all washed away if the Oilers can just somehow grind this series out, because it's going to
Mhm.
be a grind. This series is far from over. There's no team that has the upper leg right now because it's
Yeah.
literally a tie series.
Yeah.
This is like it being 0-0. Uh, it's just both teams have a lot on the line. I mean, Florida's going to lose a lot of guys because of the cap. They're going to have a lot of guys that are getting paid. They're going to go. Uh, I mean, just what a series! 3 overtime games, this is one of the best Stanley Cup Finals,
Yeah.
and even Game 3, I know it was just a dud as far as the score, but entertainment because there was tons of
Yeah.
chippiness in that game, which I like that they didn't do that really
Mhm.
tonight.
Yeah.
They let the skill take over, and it was a really good hockey game. The atmosphere in Florida seemed to be electric tonight. Uh, the game, I mean, the best players from each team showed up.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see is the best players. The guy who's probably got thousands of injuries, exaggerated, of course, but playing on his last leg is Matthew Tkachuk, and he scores twice in the first
Yeah.
period. I want to see what his injury report looks like because we know he's been banged up since Four Nations when he
Yeah.
barely played, and he still played.
Mhm.
So what a game! I mean, I know I've rambled on, but how can you not? I mean, great
Well,
games.
when you get like I can't remember 3 overtime games in the Stanley Cup final. I
Mm-mm.
I can't remember, and then being so
Even the last time I really remember was. Mm, Pittsburgh, San Jose had 2 in 16, but each team won one.
mhm,
Um, Other than that, I
I can't
mean, could
really
you
think of.
see? Could you see this year? Since I just saw a flashback of this, the anniversary of the Chicago Blackhawks 2010 Stanley Cup. Could you see this year's Stanley Cup winner being in overtime?
Oh yeah, oh definitely, definitely. I could definitely see the
Imagine this:
game winner being.
Game 7, Rogers Place.
Oh man,
The the new king himself, Connor McDavid, 50 miles an hour, blazing up the ice, turns inside and out, backhander, Stanley
he
Cup.
he had a sweet move. That almost
Oh
scored
yeah,
on that
all the
play.
credit to Bob on stopping that
Yeah.
one too.
I
Yeah,
want to
she's
I want to take a moment to congratulate Connor Hellebuck. He was voted not only the Vezina Trophy winner, but the Hart Trophy winner as well.
definitely deserved it.
Leon Draisaitl was second in
Yeah,
voting.
Hellebuck. I mean, okay, I know he had a bad playoff, but this is a regular season award, and Hellebuck literally was the best player this
Yeah.
season. I don't think
He's
there's
the
any
reason why
question.
Winnipeg. He's the reason
Yeah.
why Winnipeg were the
One more thing I
presidential.
want to take time on because we missed this the other day. I'm not sure if it happened. I think it happened the day that we did our last show, but there was a announcement of retirement this week that happened earlier. TJ Oshie retired.
Yeah.
Obviously, won the Stanley Cup in 18 with Washington. Was a thorn in this, as Kachuk was to the Oilers. Oshie was that to the Penguins because golly, he was just such a pain in the ass to play against. But he had the legendary moment in Sochi where he won the USA that game in penalty shootouts. But great career for him. Unfortunate it ended the way it did because of injury. He couldn't play this last season, but Stanley Cup champion. He did all that. He accomplished what you wanted to do as a hockey player, and he was a really good one too. So big kudos to him. But yeah, congrats to Hellebuck. And then obviously the other award winners so far, Lane Hudson won the Calder Trophy the other day for Rookie of the Year. Carberry from Washington won the Coach of the Year. The Jack Adams from No Surprise. But yeah,
Andre
Hellebuck deserved. Huh?
Kopitar won the Lady Bang.
Yep. Yep. But you're right. Hellebuck deserved this
Yeah.
100%. No matter how he played in the playoffs, he's the reason that the Jets won the President's Trophy. No doubt.
So we're going to wrap things up tonight. It's the Edmonton Oilers
Oh,
winning in
I have a
overtime.
question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
How do you feel about that Kreider trade?
I think it's going to be good for him. I think, as I think I texted you, is this going to be a mass exodus out of New
Well,
York City?
he's going to be a leader on that team.
Yeah, he's going to be a leader on that
I
team.
could see him being wearing an
Anaheim's
A.
going to get better and better. They're going to be in playoff contention this year. It's
Yeah.
just they're getting the right pieces. They get a
Yeah.
couple of more pieces, and they could make another run. But I think I'm going to almost guarantee a mass exodus out of the Rangers organization from a lot of
I mean,
players.
they revamped everything. They pretty much got the coaching staff of the Penguins behind the bench now, and I mean, this this year's it. I think if they keep those guys, how many years are they going to keep Panarin and Zibanejad and guys like that there and not
Yeah.
win? I don't see them winning, but good for Kreider. I mean, he gets to he signed. He's like, I want to go to Anaheim,
Yeah.
and I think this is a good place for him. As much as he hasn't won a Stanley Cup, he can be a leader to that team, and he
Mhm.
can show those guys, and maybe be a part of something special in the few years. You never know because we've seen crazy things happen in this sport. That is all, after all, the Disney team.
Mhm.
So that could be a magical. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. I think guys from the Ducks, the young guys, are excited to have him there, and I think it'll be a good place. But I wanted to see your thoughts on that because I was
Oh,
very intrigued when I heard Anaheim. I was like,
yeah.
okay,
It's made that team a whole lot better, and
yep.
I
I mean,
think he's going to be
he,
happier too when he's playing in Anaheim.
he's one of the most underrated goal scorers. He had a 40-goal season, not this year, but the year before, and one of the better shorthanded threats. He's going to be such a great piece for the Ducks, and I'm excited. I mean, we've talked about it. The California teams are really entertaining. Obviously, the Kings, we know how good they are, and we talked about the Sharks the other day. That, I mean, their record may not be good, but they're very entertaining to watch. And this Ducks team is going to be the same. They're going to be a very fun team to watch, and I'm excited to see how Kreider does in California now.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a great fit for the Anaheim Ducks.
Now it's next is McDavid to Pittsburgh,
No,
2025.
no,
I'm ready
no,
for it to
no, no, no,
happen.
no. Not going to happen.
One
Sorry,
for no, no,
son.
no. 1-for-1. McDavid for Jari. I'll get your starter.
No, thank you very much. We don't want. Sorry, we don't
I
want
know.
Tristan
No,
Jarry.
I can't blame you for that.
So we're going to wrap things up tonight.
Yep.
Game four. Edmonton wins in overtime 5-4.
Instant
The
classic
series is
Stanley Cup
tied.
final.
Exactly. The Oilers tie the series 2-2, heading back to Edmonton on Saturday night, 7:00 Central Time. Now you're going to be doing a little beach time.
Yep, I'm going to be at. I might be on. I might be doing a little post game on the dock outside, dipping my feet in the water.
It's going to be okay.
A nice little weekend getaway. I can't complain.
So yeah, Carson will be coming to you live from the Gulf of Mexico.
From sunny Sunrise, Florida on the water. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's like Port Aransas.
Yep.
So we'll be on, like I said, about a half hour after the game ends. I'll have to remember how to do all this that Carson does, so we can set it all up.
I might be able to try. I might be able to work it around. If not, I'll give you instructions on how to do it.
And we're looking forward to a great game 5, Rogers Place. I just almost called it Northlands Coliseum. Rogers Place in Edmonton is going to be rocking. The Moss Pit is going to be rocking as well. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a great game. I think we had the one speed bump in Game 3, but this has been a classic, like you said, classic Stanley Cup final, and we're going to be there right through the end until somebody lifts the cup at the end of this all, which is one of the most exciting things.
In a week,
your team
at the latest, it'll be a week from tonight. Someone will be raising it.
Yep. Somebody will be raising it,
which I think it will be a week from tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. And like we said before, it doesn't matter who the team is, if it's your team or not. Seeing them raise the cup and the ceremony and skating around is the greatest.
It's the best and the worst thing, because that means we have no hockey for 3.5 months.
Yeah, and then we got to go with that. It's like, so we're going to wrap it up. You can get the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast YouTube channel with all of our wrap-up shows on the Refocus Radio Network, along with Sweep the League with Rudy Campos Jr. and Shemaya Reed's I Am Refocus Radio. This will be on there tomorrow, along with Spreaker. And then in just a few minutes, I'm going to go on TikTok, and I'm going to do a post-game for the Oilers win over Florida. Great series, great game. And thank you again, Carson, for all this great stuff with the graphics and the intro. And in the meantime, and in between time, everybody, have a great hockey night.